Welcome to the Fishbowl Radio, everybody. My name is Chief here, and with me, as always, is Mike Honcho. Juicy's not on the show this week, so yeah, I guess someone's a little upset about the LSU Alabama game.
Yeah, somebody might still be a little upset. And I just want to apologize for not being on the show last 2 weeks. So last week was completely my fault. I actually fell asleep. I took a nap and I woke up and the show was over with. And the other week was because of work. But I think if Chief wants to have my back on this, we talked about it. I picked Alabama to beat LSU, and I picked Oklahoma State to beat TCU.
Yeah, that's a good clause there. Yeah, we did. We did talk about it.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that got out there that I actually, me and you were talking, he's like, John, think about post my picks. I forgot about that too. And post my picks, and he asked who I was picking, whatever, and I'm like, this is the team I'm picking. I said, I'm picking Oklahoma State. I think they're going to win. And I said, I'm picking Bama just because I think they're going to be out-coached. And if I were on the show last week, I would have been a genius. But I didn't go on the show last week, so I'm not a genius.
Yeah, that's the way it all works sometimes in college football. Well, what do you say we get some picks going, Mike?
I'm ready.
All right. It's always an interesting week. We got a couple of good matchups this week, and I think. What was your overall impression of last week, Mike? Before we start getting out the picks.
It was crazy, and I really think you got to see who belongs and where for the picks for the playoffs.
Yep.
I think last week was one of those statement weeks, like, hey, y'all got it right this week, or hey, y'all got it wrong. So I mean, that was a good week last week for a lot of teams.
Yeah, I think. What do you think about Notre Dame being number 4? You think they deserve it, or?
I think they do deserve it because guess what? Their only loss was a close loss to the number 1 team right now in the country. So you really can't. I mean, and they have a very difficult schedule. Don't get me wrong. Their schedule is actually be difficult from here on out. It's going to be pretty difficult to win out this year. So if they can win out, I think they'll deserve it more than anybody.
Okay. All right. Let's start the picking here. Well, we're going to start off at number 23 because number 25 is MIA according to this list. Unless you know who they are, Mike. So, yeah, that's because we can't go 24 because they're playing number 21. So, we're going to be kind of bouncing around a little bit here. Hope y'all okay with that. But number 23 is a very interesting matchup. There is Miami Hurricanes take on number 23 North Carolina. Mike, who you got in this game?
I got North Carolina. Miami shouldn't really even have that good of a record. I still like to talk about that Duke game. So I'm not even a Duke fan by any stretch of the imagination, and I'm still a little hurt from that game.
Yeah,
North Carolina.
That was a terrible. There's a lot of blown calls that play. I think there was 4 penalties that should have been attacked on that play because they were doing like a video of how that play was, and I think there was a block in the back, holding, if I want to say, and I think there was 2 other penalties. Let me just say, it was just a mess. It was,
and that's what got it. I said that's why I'm so upset is that they had so many. It just wasn't one penalty or something. That there was so many penalties, and the runner's knee was down. So it's like I feel bad for Duke themselves because guess what? Their season was ruined after that. Really and truly.
yeah, it kind of takes the wind out of your sails a little bit there. But I'm gonna pick North Carolina. They're 8-1 this year. They're undefeated in the ACC so far, and I think they will continue that streak there. They're playing in Chapel Hill, so there's no place like home, of course. So I think the Tar Heels, which is actually, they're usually a basketball school, but I mean, they've been having a good football program for a couple of years now, which is, it's kind of nice to see them in something better than just basketball, you know?
Yeah, they're getting there in football. They have constantly been a good team. I mean,
Yeah,
especially after last week's win against Duke and how bad they beat Duke.
yeah.
I think the rest of the season, I mean, that they could win out probably and have a good season.
Okay, now next game on the list here, number 22, Temple goes on the road to take on South Florida. Mike, who you got in this game?
I'm sticking with Temple for this one.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Temple too. P.J. Walker's been having a pretty good year. 144 out of 244 pass attempts. Pretty good there. 1,770 passing yards and 14 touchdowns. And Jahad Thomas has been pretty good on the ground for them as well, and I think they'll get the job done. It's going to be a very close game, though. I think about a touchdown should decide it, though. Give me the Owls. All right, so we're skipping number 21 because, they got that game this week. Always got to bounce around a little bit. And then we arrive at SMU taking on number 20, Navy. Who you got, Mike?
Well, last week I watched Navy beat Memphis, and I was like, yes. Because I'm like, I like Navy. I mean, more of an Army guy, don't get me wrong. Because when the robbery comes around, I don't care how bad of a record Army has, it's still going to be Army over Navy. But I was cheering for Navy because I really wanted to see them win, and I'm going to have to go with Navy to win this one. SMU, I haven't heard much from them this year. So
they've won only one game this year. They've only won one game this year, and I think Navy will win this game as well. I think their upset last week was a very good one. It's a good win to have over Memphis because Memphis beat Ole Miss, and I think it actually bodes well for Navy. I think Navy only lost one game this year. I am correct about that. So, yeah, give me Navy winning this game here. Keenan Reynolds has been pretty good for Navy on the ground, so yeah, I think he'll have a good day against SMU.
I know he's been really good. He's about to pass Monty Ball for touchdowns.
Yeah,
so you can say he's pretty good.
Yeah, he's got the stats behind the improvement. Stats can be inflated as well, but I mean, it depends how you look at them. Yeah. Let's see now. Going down number 19 here. We find Washington State going to the Rose Bowl to take on number 19 UCLA. Mike?
I'm going to go with the upset. Give me Washington State.
Washington State for an upset?
I'm just going to say that because last week they could have won. If I'm not mistaken, it was last week they played Stanford. And I think they were really close to winning that game. So I think they're going to beat UCLA. UCLA's a good team, but I'm just going to have to stick with my guns and go with Washington State.
I'm going to disagree with you there. I think UCLA is going to win this game. Paul Perkins has been pretty good on the ground so far this year. 10 touchdowns, 961 rushing yards. I think they'll do good enough to win this game. Give me the Bruins over this here. Yeah. Well, while we're in midway through picking, what do you think about that UL game last night? UL Lafayette game last night, Mike? You think they still got a chance for a bowl game?
I don't know, because the rest of the schedule is not difficult, but it's definitely not the easiest, so I don't necessarily know that they would deserve that Final Four spot. It's hard to say right now because I say they still have to face Troy, they still have to face New Mexico State, which is two teams, although Troy's starting to find their way.
Yeah.
New Mexico State's still not all that good of a team yet, and they're going to face Appalachian State, which is a very tough team, so it's kind of tough to say. As of now, I want to say no because it's just with the record they have and the conference they play in, it'll be hard for them to get a bowl bid. Even though the has 4 tie-ins, I don't really see it.
Yeah, we'll have to be ranked 4th in the conference. So I mean, if the Cajuns can somehow pull an upset at Appalachian State, I feel more comfortable about it. But I don't see it happening with this year's team. Which I mean, the Cajuns had a good run, but I don't see them winning against Appalachian State. But we'll see. We'll be there cheering for them, but we'll see what happens. Purdue versus number 18 Northwestern. I'm going to go with Northwestern in this one, Mike. Who you got?
I'm going to go with Northwestern also.
Yeah, I think Justin Jackson, I mean, he's only scored 1 rushing touchdown this year, but he's been good for Northwestern,
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, they were, remember when they're undefeated? And everybody was starting to get on the hype bus of Northwestern. Here's another interesting Big Ten conversation, Mike, I think you might be interested in. You think Iowa's going to make the playoff?
I think who?
Iowa.
Iowa could. If Iowa went out, I'm not going to say no because it's definitely a possibility that it could happen. Man, you put me in a tough situation right there because I think they face Ohio State this year and if they could pull off the upset against Ohio State.
Well,
the schedule, if I'm not mistaken, was not extremely difficult.
I don't think it was either. But I mean, if you only got to focus on one game, then you might have a good chance of beating them because Ohio State's got to come off of Michigan, and you know Michigan.
Yeah, well, I mean, and that's the thing though. If they have a good enough,
that's an interesting case.
Other teams will have to lose for them to be able to get in there. I think the only real reason why Ohio State is in there is just based on the fact that they're not defeated for 2 years.
You know,
that's
look.
The only reason why I always keep picking them too, because why pick against a team that's not losing?
You know, if I say this, Iowa's number 5 right now, which is interesting because.
Like I said, Iowa. I'm looking at their schedule right now, and I mean, it's not that difficult of a schedule. But once if they get to that Big Ten championship game and they face Ohio State, and Ohio State's still undefeated, and they post an upset, I don't see why Iowa shouldn't have a legit chance of getting in there.
Yeah, I think if Iowa can actually pull off an upset against Ohio State, I think they deserve to get in.
It depends, though. I said if it came down to like Notre Dame, I would believe Notre Dame still might have somewhat of an edge.
I think Notre Dame will be solidly locked in there. I think your 3. I think that 4th spot's going to be interesting. I think if Notre Dame is undefeated, Clemson's going to get in because they got probably the easiest schedule out of all of the playoff teams remaining. Memphis, Alabama, and Notre Dame.
I say Clemson, if they stay undefeated, they're locked in there, no matter what.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Notre Dame could possibly win out. It's just they got, Wake Forest, and then they got Boston College. But that last game at Stanford, that's going to be the game to determine it all.
Yeah, I think.
If Notre Dame wins out, I don't see why you would take them out of the playoffs.
I wouldn't. It'd be interesting to see. I mean, you got a lot of different cases here. Would you put Oklahoma State in there? Is another good question too. If they knock off Baylor.
Yeah, but you still. Look, I'm looking at Notre Dame's schedule right now, and they beat Texas, which really isn't that much. They beat Clemson. They lost to Clemson by 2 points. They beat Navy, which is not a ranked team. They beat USC. They beat Temple, which is a ranked team right now, and then they got to face Stanford. I really do think if they can win out, they'll have a very good chance.
Well, we could debate this after we pick all the games, but NC State versus number 16, Florida State, Mike.
Give me Florida State. I expect them to bounce back after that loss to Clemson last week.
Yeah, it was a very good win for Clemson. Florida State put on a great performance, and their playoff hopes are done with for this year. No way for them to come back after 2 losses in the ACC. Give me Florida State winning this game over NC State, though. Okay, number 15, as we continue our trek through the top 25, we find Kansas, who's been having a miserable year, playing number 15 TCU, who just came off a loss against Oklahoma State. I'm going to go with TCU in this one. I think Trevon Boykin and Aaron Green and Josh Doxson will get back into rhythm and win this game here. So give me TCU winning that game. Who you got there, Mike?
I don't think I see TCU in 2 weeks in a row, especially not to a Kansas team that, like you said earlier, was having a very terrible season this year. I gotta stick with TCU, but I can't say nothing because Kansas, their women's soccer team, so happened to win the conference title last week. I was on watch ESPN and I saw that. I'm like, oh, let me see who's playing, and then Washington. So congratulations to them. They got lucky that I watched them because now they got a shout out. But
yeah, that's the way it goes sometimes. All right, we're going to Memorial Stadium in Bloomington, Indiana. Number 14, Michigan versus Indiana. I'm gonna go with Michigan in this one. Who you got, Mike?
I wouldn't sleep on Indiana, even though the season's not going as great as I was thinking. I'm still going to go with Michigan, but I would watch out. I could see Indiana putting up some points against Michigan, but I'm still going to go with Michigan. I
don't think Indiana's going to do it, but I mean, like you said, I would watch it too. I mean, it depends on what's going to happen. I mean, turnover battle. That's always important in every football game you go to. Turnovers. All right, Maryland versus number 13, Michigan State. Who you got, Mike?
Give me Michigan State.
I think Connor Cook's going to have a good one against Maryland. Maryland hasn't won the Big Ten yet. Don't see them winning it this week. Give Michigan State to knock off Maryland this week. All right, now we're going to number 12 here, which if I remember right was I just had it on the tip of my tongue. I can't think of it.